Hello again, fellow modelers. Armando Della Cabada here with DLC Model Builders, and I'm beginning a new and long overdue video build log. As you can see, this is the 1350 Polar Lights Enterprise Refit, and I have to confess before I start the log, I actually began this build a little over a year ago, believe it or not, in May of 2014. Those of you that follow SFMA may have seen my build log started there at that time. As with any one of you that have tried this kit, and you can attest to, this is a long, involved build marked by spurts of productivity and then long pauses. And that's been pretty much my course on this. I began with all fanfare back in May, had a few weeks of productivity, then paused for a while, then started again, had another burst of productivity, paused again, another burst, and finally, sometime around August, I believe, I ran into an issue with the shuttle bay, the floor, and achieving the neat effect of the yellow lights, the yellow lines that Boyd created on his, and I got frustrated, and I already had other builds going on, so I simply went on to those and put this on the back burner. But it's been in the back of my head throughout, and I've slowly been easing back into it now that I've caught up with a backlog of builds that I had before, and I'm back at it. So I figured it was about time that I started my log, and I can go ahead and show you what I've done with it. I've actually gotten a lot done. Let me show you the top saucer. This is, and I followed the sequence as Boyd showed it on his very detailed log, the latest one he's done, and that's how I've built it. As you can see, most of the lighting of the saucer, in fact all of the lighting, has been installed. I won't bore you with the exact details of how I did it. I pretty much mirrored everything Boyd did, so you can refer to his channel, the latest very detailed long build log that he has on a refit. I followed his techniques throughout. These are the two boards for the thrusters and the navigators or strobes and combination board. This is the Officer's Lounge, or not the Officer's Lounge, the rec deck, which you can see in there, although it's hard to see it in this lighting even though it's daytime, but that has been built. I'll show you here. Let me see if I can get some lighting in there. Well, okay, that works. I sanded off the phaser nubbins, as I call them, because they're not correct for the refit, and let me tell you, that was the toughest part of this, and I'm still not happy with it. I think I may redo it. As you can see, there's this rescribed lines are not quite right, and there's some blemishes on the hull that I'm not quite happy with. But now that I've been building a lot of these figures, I'm a lot more confident with my sanding and puttying skills. So I think I'll come back and I'll redo that. I installed the photo etch for the Officer's Lounge observation. I did the bridge modifications. I raised it and moved it forward a little bit so that I get a shine on top of the registry as it's supposed to go, and I sanded in and installed all the sidewalls and preserved for the most part the sensor band detail. The lower saucer also has all the lighting installed. I was a lot more successful at removing the phaser stuff from this, and I may leave it alone. As you can see, navigation and strobes are all in. Then I moved on to the officer's lounge. I initially did it the way it's traditionally done, as you can see, but then I decided to put a partition and add the more correct decals from Jerry, just like the movie. And I really like the way that came out. The Arboretum is also done. I used 1/350 scale figures, which you can see. They're painted and they're observing out of the windows, and I used the decals from Jerry for the sides as well. See the figures there. And I also added the photo etch for the Arboretum on the secondary hull. And I installed the lighting, at least the lighting strips on the inside, and got this painted and detailed. I may redo some of this. I'm not 100% happy with it. We'll have to see. And then I moved on to the shuttle bay, and that's where I hit the snag. Believe it or not, this has been in purple power twice already. This is the third time all around that I've tried. The first time I got the decal on there. I painted it with a dark gray, but I couldn't light block it completely, so that's when I sort of stopped. I came back a couple of weeks ago, decided I'd try black primer after I installed the decals with a yellow underneath. Black primer was too thick and pitted, and also caused edging and shelving at the edges of the decal, so that didn't work. So I left this for a couple of days in purple power and just finished cleaning it out, and I just repainted it with yellow. After sanding it down with 600, well, 320, 600, and then 1500 to get it as smooth as silk. The next step is to get the decals back on, and for that there's an excellent installation primer in Jerry's website, both his HDA Modelworks merchandise website and his YouTube channel, where he explains how to apply them, and I highly suggest that you take a look at it because it is excellent. I'll be doing that, and I'll come back after I'm done so I can show you how they look installed, and then hopefully I can get this thing going. So I'll talk to you later. Back, and I've applied the decal as per Jerry's instructions. As you can see, it is in position. Now the next step is to paint with a very dark gray to achieve the coloration, and in speaking with Boyd about this, he suggested that I apply multiple coats and allow them to dry between one and the other until I achieve the light blocking that I'm looking for, which has been the issue all along. So that's what I'll do, and we'll see if it works. Talk to you soon. Back with another update, and as you can see, success finally. Still a couple of minor little things that could be better, but you know what, this looks fantastic as far as I'm concerned, and the point of view is going to be like that basically, so that looks great. Looking at it against the light, it does a very nice shine through. As you can see. So, mission accomplished as far as that's concerned. Now I'm working on the side panels. I drilled out these windows, and I've squared them with the flat file. I'll be doing the same thing to the other wall. as you can see. Then they'll be washed and primered to get them ready for the painting. I'll choose a neutral color of some kind, similar to the hull, I guess, maybe a little darker. The rest of the floor is going to have to be light blocked so that there's no leakage when we put the SMDs for the turbo lifts, which sit here and here. So what I'll need to do is mask off the, see, you can see the effect right there very nicely. I'll mask this off so there's no interference with this part, because I don't want this light blocked in any way except through here. And I'll go ahead and light block the other parts. But we're making some progress, finally. So I'm happy. Talk to you later. Back with an update on my refit. I have completed the floor of the shuttle bay, the hangar bay shuttle floor, whatever. And I have installed the LEDs, and I've wired in Ralph's specialized chaser board. Now, the combo board which I have does have the effect, but it only accommodates 4 LEDs on each side, and I wanted more. I wanted at least 8. I ended up putting in 10 because I wanted a nice flowing effect. And as you'll see in a minute, it is a pretty nice effect. I've had a lot of trouble with shorting of all these wires, so what I'll do is I'll set it up so it's working, then I'll come back. But just so you have an idea, the wiring is as follows. All the negatives are wired into a single wire which goes to a lead on the board, and then the positives are wired in pairs. These two positive, these two positive, these two positive, and so on, and each of those goes to a specific output on the board. I insulated with tape in areas where there might be contact, but I'm still getting shorting out of the wires because they're simply not set up permanently. Once I glue them on and make them nice and neat, it's going to stop doing it. But for now, let me just set this up and I will show you the effect, which is pretty neat. I'll be right back. Okay, back, and there it is working. Let me turn off the lights. The first 2 pairs are red and the rest are white. It's a pretty neat effect. Of course, the yellow strips are also translucent, so I'll have a light strip underneath that will shine through, so the strips will also shine. All this I picked up from Boyd, of course. He did build one of these with a chaser effect, and we talked about how it could be done. So my thanks to him for all his advice. I used 1.5 millimeter butterfly LEDs, installed them as I showed you, flush with orifices that I drilled by hand after aligning them with a ruler so that they would be perfectly straight. You can't have any crookedness here, it wouldn't look right. As you can see, it's really neat. Once I drilled the pilot holes with the handheld drill, then I enlarged them with a Dremel tool at low speed until I had the size that I wanted. Now, I worked really hard to light block these LEDs, but it's pretty much impossible to do so at the level of the plastic unless you actually paint the hole on the inside with black. You can tell that you see the bare plastic there, the white bare plastic, and it's a really fast effect, so you don't really notice it much, but there is leakage from the LED onto the yellow strip if you look closely. It's so fast that you don't notice it, so if you don't want to hassle with that and accept it, the effect is just beautiful. But if you want to be really meticulous, you can always paint the inside of the orifice black so that light from the LED does not leak through the plastic onto the onto the strip. Again, I'm nitpicking. I thought it was going to be a lot more noticeable, but the chaser effect is fast enough that it just looks like the lights are shining on the strip. To be honest, I don't really notice it, so yeah, I guess I'm nitpicking. But that's what we model builders are, nitpickers, aren't we? There it is with all the lights off. I think it's really cool. I could stare at it for hours. Anyway, I've already primered the floor gray, and I'm going to utilize images from stills from the movie and Boyd's advice as far as the painting. He painted the floor a tan before putting any decals on it, and he painted the walls of the hangar bay a dark gray, and emphasize the beams with a little darker hand-painted gray. So that's probably what I'll do. The photo etch parts, which I have under this stack of things here, right down there, I'll be installing those and painting them. A lot of people paint the railings yellow, although the correct color is different. I believe it's like a more muted green. But I do want them to be seen, so I may just go ahead and do it yellow like a lot of people do. Anyway, that's up next on this. I'll be building the rest of the hangar bay, basically. I'll need to install a couple of SMDs on the top and on the bottom to light the elevator shafts. This goes like that. That's where the elevator shafts go, and this sits on top of this like this on the walls, and there'll be lights on top and on the bottom. So this is coming along, and yeah, there you go. See, I touched the wires and it goes off. I'm really gonna have to work on that. Anyway, you got the gist of it. That's the hangar bay floor with a chaser effect. Talk to you later.